I'll cop to. Haven't read the Triad yet on this front, but I don't know if you...
I got it in front of me.
Hey there, this is JVL here with my best friends, Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller of the Bulwark. Guys, we had the No Kings protests. I went to my very first protest over the weekend. 7 million or so. Yeah, I'm not a protest guy.
You've never even accidentally attended a protest or been to a March for Life? Or
No, thank you. Mass
you've
groups
met him, right?
People...
You know how he
what
feels
a moment.
about people.
I mean, I don't know. He's like 50. It's a life is long. I don't know. There might have been one occasion before Saturday to express your dismay with the state of affairs.
Pass. I think I told you I don't even like shaking hands with sign of peace at Mass. Anyway, I am just interested in closing the loop on this to hear what you guys thought, because the three of us have not been together to discuss them afterwards. I was pretty shocked by it. My little new neighborhood in New York City, New Jersey had like 1,000 people show up, which it was probably more than that. Again, I'm just like doing a rough eyeball count. I thought, hand to God, I was like, oh, there are going to be 25 people here when I show up, because I know exactly where it is. It's by the little public library. There's a little gazebo and a tiny park. And I thought it would be like a, cul-de-sac potluck dinner or something. And I was shocked by it. It was really something.
Tell me more.
Huge numbers, people lining the streets, both sides of the streets. Very normie. I'd say about half the people there had signs of some sort. Most of the signs handmade. And the signs honestly really impressed me, because I just think of everything as an investment of time. You're already asking them to give up basically 1/4 of their weekend, right? And once you factor in travel time, then walking around for 2 hours, it was a beautiful day. Everybody's got stuff to do. And the signs, like, you got to go to Michael's, you got to buy the poster board, you got to sit there with your Sharpie, you got to think of something clever. Like, that's like another hour or 2 hours that people are putting into this. And the higher that barrier to entry becomes, the more committed and intense the level of energy is around the thing. So those are my thoughts about it. I mean, maybe this is like silly, but I don't know. What did you guys think?
Tim, where did you go? Where did you?
I didn't. I was flying to California. My husband and daughter represented me in New Orleans, and they sent me photos. And so that's why I've not been on any of our No Kings content. I'm not going to do stolen valor for the actual protesters who are out there. So I have meta thoughts, but I think you should go, since you were actually, a human in meat space.
I was in meat space. I did go out, although I will say, and I did a whole thing on this with Bill on Sunday, the day after, but I didn't go to the main big one down in DC. We did the one where we lined the streets kind of on Connecticut Avenue up in upper Northwest.
Agoraphobia or just...
No, I wanted to take the kids, honestly. And I didn't, also as somebody, I was trying to explain to people about conservatives and protests. I know they look at the Tea Party and think, no, the right protests. And I was like, not our kind of right. So, like, there was always this joke that we would tell about, like, how do conservatives even protest? What are we supposed to say? What do we want? Incremental change. When do we want it? In the due course
Slowly.
of time. Yeah, that's right. And so it's not part of our DNA. And unlike, I have been to, in my life, I had been to one march, which was a gay marriage thing back in the day that, my friends were doing. And
if God hates fags, why are we all so cute?
That's
those kinds of signs.
Those kinds of signs. That's right.
Yeah.
But other than that, I hadn't done one until I did the the free DC march, a few weeks back. And I even didn't do the first No Kings. I kind of drove around and honked at people, but I didn't stand there. And this time, but you're right about the signs. Like, my kids, and I've always had weird feelings about kids at protests, because I'm like, they don't have a political opinion. Don't use them as political props. But On the other hand, I was like, I want to talk to you about what's happening in the country. And they wanted to make their signs. And I was like, great.
Did you show them Trump pooping on people as a way to get them mad at him?
That's
something that resonates with children, I've heard.
I try hard not to show them things that appear on the internet about our political discourse. But just to finish off, where I was in DC, I got to say, I want to double stamp normie, but also like there was a guy in salmon pants protesting. I was like, that guy voted for Mitt Romney, just like me. And we're out here now. And I got to say that the thing about No Kings that really works as a frame is where it pushes people is into the democracy space in terms of what they're doing. And actually some of the criticism from the right, which is all so lame and stupid, but one of them is like, there's nothing specific that they're asking for. And I'm like, what a brain dead like analysis of what's happening. No, they're saying we don't want the guy to act like a dictator. And many of the things he is doing do that. He is abusing his power and we'd like him to stop. That is the frame of No Kings. But, so people are out there with their flags, their pro-America signs. And it was a very sort of wholesome, peaceful, even there was like some boomers singing the battle hymn of the Republic, waving their flags. And I was like, and to the extent that if you had shown me that kind of protest in my younger days, like you'd think that perhaps this was a bunch of conservatives out there, because the frame is very pro-America. And so kudos to the organizers.
Yeah, that annoyed the lefties too, and their critique was as stupid as maybe not as stupid because they weren't, calling the No Kings protesters Antifa, Hamas terrorists. So less stupid than the Republicans' critique of the protesters, but stupid nonetheless. And you saw a lot of this kind of discourse on the internet. And one of the things I've been doing when I was out here is some college stuff, and I heard some of that. The college kids I heard too, their points were not stupid. They were talking more about liberal arts college discourse about how it was liberals out there and, they're more of a leftist and that whatever. The internet, though, critique from the left, like poor Doug Emhoff got piled on as he took a picture with some lady that said, if Kamala had won, we'd be at brunch. And they're like, it just shows how decadent these protests are, that they're not serious about overthrowing the capitalist system. And it's just like, guys, like, you want people to get together and organize. Like that is the whole thing of the far left. It's like always like it's organizing, community organizing. It's like, this is organizing. Some people are going to have signs that you find a little chuggy or distasteful or whatever. Like some people are going to have signs that are kind of lame, but that's the human experience, right? Everybody's going to have.
The word you use, chuggy?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's what the kids call us.
Chuggy?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a new one for me.
There you go. CHEUGY. So anyway, but like to me, I think that has been the success of it. That it was able to broaden it out, make a lot of people feel comfortable, make people feel like they could fit in there and be a show of force against what is happening. And the goal is not organizing in the ends of, unionizing a company or like some tangible thing. Like the goal is simply a show of force that like we will not be beaten down by this. And so people should not roll over for Donald Trump.
I got a question for this. So our erstwhile friends, Nick Catogio, wrote about this yesterday, and he said, one of the important things the No Kings protest did was it accomplished showing how foolish and wrong and the lies about what the protests were coming from the administration, and it denied the Trump administration a pretext for invoking the Insurrection Act. And what Nick said, though, was if you're at a point where protesters have to put on inflatable frog costumes in order to deny the regime an excuse for invoking the Insurrection Act on them, aren't you already in a place that's really horrifying?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? I mean, like, The
Do you
fact
listen
that,
to this show, JB?
I guess. I don't mean to bring the room down, but it on the one hand, yes, that was lovely, but it was all boring. Can I ask? I don't want to cap on the New York Times too much because I don't want.
Sure you don't.
Are you sure?
I don't want Sarah to get.
How many newsletters have you popped about that over the past month?
But did you guys have any thoughts about the front page of the New York Times the day following the No Kings protests?
I don't. I don't mean this as a critique of the topics we brought up in the podcast. I mean it just simply as an expression of a take about some discourse that's out there. I don't care what's happening in the CBS News morning meeting, or I don't care who the anchor is of I don't know who the anchor is of CBS Evening News. I literally could not tell you the name of the anchor.
Nora O'Donnell.
I don't believe so. She left a while ago, and she's been replaced, and I'm not sure by who. I don't care what's
replaced
on the front page of the New York Times, because you know what? Nobody reads the hard copy New York Times. The only people that read the hard copy of the New York Times are, no offense, I don't mean this as a pejorative, any listeners that fit this bill, old liberals that don't really have anything else to do on Sunday morning because they're not going to church. And so they don't have kids soccer anymore. And so they're reading their hard copy New York Times. That's it. And so maybe the New York Times, I guess as a business strategy, they should probably be appealing to that demo, because that's the group of people that is reading the hard copy of their paper. They should probably be doing a little bit better customer service from a capitalism standpoint. But who cares who's on it? It's not undecided voters picking up the hard copy New York Times, I don't believe. So that's my take on it.
I think that's a good take. I want to, because not only does it not matter, what matters is the bodies in the streets, but it also goes to the point of the mainstream media. Nobody's coming to save anybody but the people who are getting out there. And the No Kings thing is good. And here's what it does. You start with 5 million that come out, and then you get 7 million, and then you get 10 million. And over time, you
get the Insurrection Act.
No, I don't think so. I mean, JBL, you pointed this out, and I think we should be incredibly grateful that people seem, and I talked about this a lot at the live shows, but now that we're on the other side of one of the largest protests in United States history, people understand that he's looking for pretext. They really do. These people that come out, they get it, and they are not taking the bait. And to Cottagio's point about, well, they're wearing dinosaur costumes, whatever, that is them emphatically not taking the bait and just showing. And so I think that the ability to build a turnout apparatus to get people to do a thing, to normalize doing a thing, to show other people, this is what offense looks like. And the New York Times, part of the reason you want to do this is, and I think they achieved this, everybody had to talk about No Kings, including Donald Trump, right? They set the agenda. You need more of this. And if the New York Times wants to ignore it now and put it on page 16, that's fine. You just look at it and say,
page 23.
Sure, that's fine. But I do think part of it is saying, all right, we're going to keep doing this so much that you cannot ignore us. That is the goal.
Just while we're having a little fun, does anybody know who the NBC nightly news anchor is? Just as a quick pop quiz for a political podcast.
Boy. It's that man. His name is...
There's a man.
He has brown hair. I've seen him.
Yeah. And I know this isn't meant to be mean to Tom Yamas, who I love, but I saw him in the elevator when I was at.
Is that his name? I've never heard that name before in my life.
Okay. Well, I had, and I know, good reporter, and I saw him in the elevator, and he was talking to me about the Bulwark at 30 Rock about a month ago, and I was like, oh, hey, Tom, cool. Didn't congratulate him because he had recently taken over the host chair of NBC Nightly News, and I only didn't congratulate him because I didn't know. So I apologize to Tom Yamas. I congrats on taking over the chair. I just think that, the front page of the newspaper and who's the host of the news is just a little less important than it was in 1994.
And look, JBL, I know you want to move on, but I'm just going to quick say, I did this conversation with Dylan Byers on the Grill Room about the Bulwark and its growth and about where media is going.
Yeah, you crushed that thing.
You're way better than me on that part.
Well, this is where we divide and conquer. Exactly. You are as we joked at the beginning, you are better at cutting 17 takes a day. And nobody can crank out 2,000 words like JVL. Okay. But part of this is we are intense consumers of news. And we do not know who sits at these desks anymore, which is not, I think, an indictment of anybody, only a statement of where things are and where they're going. And so for all the obsession, because one of the things Dylan like just cannot get over is Barry Weiss, like the Kremlinology around Barry Weiss. And I was like, day 4, Barry Weiss, what does the meeting look like? And I'm like, guys, like, and I look, I'm not here to go after the Free Press or CBS or anything else. It's just sort of like, if the decision is I'm going to, because he was obsessed with this idea of like, who would buy you? How would you, what is your exit strategy?
How do you get out?
Yeah, like, and I'm like, that's not what we're thinking about.
Get out where?
But most importantly, if you want influence in the conversation, which we absolutely do, the idea that you want to be eaten by one of these dinosaurs that no one's paying attention to anymore, to me, does not seem like the best strategy for how you communicate with people, because that is a dying model, and we do not want to recreate the dying model.
All right. Quick word from our sponsor, Sarah.
This show is sponsored by Remy. These days, you might be clenching your teeth every time you look at the news on your phone. And believe me, I get it. I am a bit of a teeth grinder myself. In fact, I gave myself like a headache. I give like a sharp headache because I clench my teeth so much. But I finally found a night guard that did not require a dentist visit with Remy. And I want to tell you about it, guys. Approximately 30% of U.S. adults grind and clench their teeth at night. Remy's custom night guards are clinically tested to prevent teeth grinding, reduce jaw tension and facial muscle strain, and improve your sleep quality. You'll get the same professional quality and comfort as a night guard from the dentist, but Remy costs you about 80% less and is much more convenient than having to go into your dentist's office and get one. And as an added cost benefit, you can use your HSA or FSA credits toward your night guard at checkout. So here's how it works. They send you an impression kit straight to your door. You follow Remy's step-by-step instructions to get your perfect impression. My producer and I did it right here in my office. He put the gloves on. He helped me do it. And Remy then crafts and ships your custom fit night guard. Comes right to you. So no waiting rooms, no overpriced bills, just a better way to protect your teeth while you sleep. And you can try Remy risk-free. Go to shopremy.com/thenextlevel and use code thenextlevel to get up to 50% off your night guard at checkout. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode.
The Ballroom, did either of you guys understand that the Trump presidential palace, ballroom, and casino was going to involve tearing down big portions of the East Wing of the White House? Because the renders I had seen, it looked like it was just sitting next to it, like SimCity style. And then all of a sudden we got pictures the other day of like, oh, they've got a demolition crew there just ripping the facade off of the East Wing of the White House. That's cool.
I want to come clean on something before we talk about this, JV.
You're going to say you don't care about this either?
Yeah. And I want to come clean with you about it. I have pre-taped today's daily podcast already with Jon Favreau, and I read at length from your tryout. And I think the people are going to be on your side. But I just was like, the idea that the Democrats should now promise to bulldoze the Trump ballroom and replace it with something else. I only got room for so much anger in my heart. You know, I only got room for so much anger in my heart. Tim. The East Wing, where I've never been, that I've never breached because none of my candidates ever won. I just, whatever. I don't know. That's. I know this is making for bad podcast, but tell me, make the case.
So
the
president. Side. So is it the case that the president is the owner of the White House?
No.
And so if he wanted to simply bulldoze the entire White House and replace it with a 10-story brutalist cube, he could do that?
Feels like an Obama question. But no,
because well, why not then? Right. If he can knock down one wing, right?
I guess. What's the question? Could he do it legally?
I'm just trying to no kings, right? So who does the White House belong to? Is the White House a piece of the American government that belongs to all of the people who comprise America, the citizenry, or does it belong to the king who resides there? Because the Trump version of this seems to be, well, it's mine. And so I can do whatever I want with it. And that's why I think it has to be knocked down, because you have to show people that no, we don't tolerate this shit. They didn't leave the statues of Saddam up.
Josh Shapiro is going to give a barn burner speech where he says, I will tear down this ballroom.
I'm not saying this should be the centerpiece of the campaign, but in the same way that Trump would say, and we're going to do like, I don't know, like we're going to put Jim Comey in jail or whatever, one of his applause lines. Like this ought to be a staple of every person who's running for president as a Democrat in 2028, right?
Is it possible to agree with both of you on this?
I think so. I think it's just, because our disagreement is only to the degree of our rage. Like JVL is objectively right. I guess I agree with him. Yeah, the president should not be able to like redesign massive sections of the White House on a whim because he thinks it's his house and he wants to put his ugly ass name on shit. I hear you. I'm for that. I don't know. I'm not. There are a lot of people that on the right who spend a lot of time talking about architecture. Tucker Carlson's like fashy architecture stuff about how the brutalist architecture depresses the spirit, and we need things that enliven the spirit and all this. I don't know that none of that. I'm just not an architecture girly, I guess.
Dork, girly. Where are we going to go with this? Wait, so JVL, you are 100% right. And one of the things, because it is not his, and he is a steward. And part of what is happening is that the tearing down of the East Wing is an on-the-nose metaphor for what Donald Trump is doing to the country.
Yes.
Right? It's like, you watch him do it, and it's not because
if this was a novel, we would say, "Oh, that is so hacky." Come on,
right.
You don't need to. The subtext can remain subtext. You don't have to make it the text.
We get it, guys. He's tearing down the fabric of American democracy, but he is, and this is where Donald Trump, we take him seriously or literally, and where he's being real literal in the tearing down of sort of American democracy and behaving, and I'll cop to, haven't read the triad yet on this front, but I don't know if
I got it in front of me.
Okay, well,
the stated policy of every Democrat seeking the presidency should be that the first thing they will do is demolish the Trump ballroom and restore the East Wing of the White House to their pre-Trump state. Jonathan Victor last.
Day one.
Yeah. Okay, and so this is the part.
You raise your hand, you take the oath of office, then before you even go to lunch, you sign the EO.
Well, what I was going to ask you, since I have not read it, is ask you if part of what you were saying is, because this is what I would imagine a JVL would say about this, is that somebody who builds this ballroom, who tears down the East Wing, the other part of it, and this is a real JVL thing, is like, does that person seem like they're leaving? Or does it seem like they're remodeling things to their own personal specifications?
He did say that. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Good call.
Feels like that's a thing JVL would say.
Your man.
So the part where I actually, like I've said, I'm very much disagree with we should in any way create the narrative that there is some actual way for him to stay. But I do agree with the point that it is so strange for a president to build all of these things. Now, it could be for posterity. Like Donald Trump likes to build things. It's also just what he knows how to do. But there is the part of it that feels like this isn't yours. You don't get to do all of this stuff. So agree with that. The idea, though, that somebody should run on, because here's the thing, because it is symbolic, I think, because I look at it as a very serious metaphor of what he's doing. I would deal with the aesthetic things later and focus on the real things. I understand what you're saying about the toppling of the Saddam and things. And if there are statues of Donald Trump somewhere, I certainly think people can go ahead and topple them.
Two thoughts. Maybe instead of bringing it down, Democrats should make the new ballroom an orphanage for Venezuelan migrants. No? Okay. How about this? Other thought, my other hot take on this is there's one problem with JVL's theory, is that the Democrats could not tear down the ballroom on the first day that they took back over because there'd have to be 9 months of environmental study.
Yeah.
Okay? We'd have to make sure that we'd have to contract that out. We'd have to make sure that a BIPOC woman of color was on the contracting team for the demolition. And so that's going to take a little bit, I think.
So,
and
Tim,
that's a problem.
You've talked about this. You said one of the lessons that Democrats can learn from Trump is that, like, you can just do stuff.
Yeah.
Is this not a good? I mean, this project has moved much faster than I would have been able to move on putting an addition on my house. If I wanted to build an addition on my house, it would have taken me probably 18 months to go through the process of like all the stuff. And here it's just like
on a little permitting issue in my backyard.
Yeah, right. You got to line up your financing. You got to get an architect. Go back and forth over designs. The speed with and like, was anybody asked? Was this bid out? Like what? It's just like, oh, it's happening. Well, I guess if that's the real precedent, Tim, is this not a good precedent for Democrats? This is the part that
voters like.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is what I'm like. This is the one thing Democrats should take from him, should learn from him. They, you want to build a fucking train? How about you just build a train people? I don't have a train fetish like all of my new friends on the left, but they've been talking about trains since I've been in high school. And they can't build one. So I do think that there'd be a little bit of a lesson here from Trump that they should just build shit. And I do just want to say, I'm emotionally attached to your argument about how he's not a king and this is not his house. I'm just directing my anger towards the migrant detentions.
Tim, while I'm fishing for compliments, did you like the little graphic design work I did in my newsletter yesterday?
Really did. Yeah. Screenshotted it, posted it on social media, as a matter of fact. I liked it so much.
Sarah, I mean, you missed it. It was
Describe
really
it to me.
I did a flow chart. I used some complicated AI tools to create a flow chart explaining how Trumpists go about their decision-making process. And they begin with, is there a law that allows this thing I want to do? And if the law allows it, they're just like, great, do it. If it doesn't, they're like, well, is there a law that specifically forbids it? And if no, they're like, great, just do it. Anyway, it just continues down that. It's but basically, it's just
I don't think the Democrats should take from this, by the way.
Oh, I do.
Oh, really?
These are the new rules. This is how America operates now. Like this is, like I don't. Is this not the lesson of the Biden administration? Is his tremendous failure? Because there was no law saying that Biden couldn't direct Merrick Garland to prosecute Trump starting on day one. So he should have directed Merrick Garland to prosecute Trump on day one.
No, Merrick Garland should have prosecuted Trump on day one. He should have known his job.
Fair enough. But had he not, again, right? I mean, this is a case of like, well, okay, this is what America wants.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know if this is what America wants. I do think that it was a efficient way to explain, particularly going back to what we talked in the first segment, to people who are kind of like, what are you talking about with the no kings thing? Like, what's the problem? Like, what exactly is he doing? And you're just listing out, wait, this is, and then you list out a bunch of stuff, whether it was the tariffs or sending people to CCOT or the SCOTUS nomination or, that he was like on a bunch of stuff that was either expressly, but not explicitly illegal, if that makes sense, or was just the type of thing we just don't do, or was maybe even explicitly illegal, but you think you might have 5 Supreme Court justices who would be on your side for it, then you just go ahead and do that and deal with it on the back end. And I will say, you've seen a little bit of this. This was not a total Donald Trump innovation. You've seen a little bit of this in just the executive EO, in the EO culture that has built going back to W, basically, that Obama built on, that then Biden built on. And so it was just usually more in the service of policy ends, like a specific, I want student loans or the DREAM Act or whatever. But Trump has just expanded across to a lot everything.
Can I give you one case of where he's expanded it? So nowhere in the U.S. code does it say that the president cannot allow the Justice Department to pay him damages for previous investigations waged against him. And so we have a news story that Donald Trump says the Justice Department owes him $230 million for the mental anguish that he suffered from the various federal investigations against him.
This is so crazy.
And so he has begun the process for that. The people within the Justice Department who will oversee this request are the people who defended him in those cases. And the person who will ultimately say yes we should pay Donald Trump $230 million is Donald Trump. The New York Times story on this is kind of amazing. I know you guys don't care about the New York Times because what does it matter what they say? But lawyers said the nature of the president's claims poses undeniable ethics challenges. No fucking shit. They're like, oh, and then they go and they like talk to two professors, like somebody from Pace University, and like, doesn't this pose an? And what's funny is even the ethics experts they talk with are doing like no fucking shit. Like you can hear their outrage at the question. Even this guy's
no part of you is. I'm surprised that there's no part of JVL that's like, I hope he takes it. I hope he takes it. I hope he takes it. You working Americans, that are out there, the forgotten man,
part of me.
That are losing your fucking health care,
little part of me hopes
grinding every day at your job with your shitty boss, and your back hurts when you get home. You're paying your taxes. The guy that you voted for, who said he was going to represent you as a forgotten man, he's taking your tax money and putting it into his pocket directly. Hundreds of millions of dollars of it because he suffered mental anguish. Poor little baby suffered some mental anguish because he broke the law and people tried to prosecute him for his law breaking. And so he's going to take our money.
Sarah, here's a quote from the president. I got to read you this quote from the president about this, Sarah. He says, I have a lawsuit that was doing very well. And when I became president, I said, I'm sort of suing myself. It sort of looks bad. I'm suing myself, right? So I don't know. But that was a lawsuit that was very strong, very powerful.
Very powerful. Sam and I did a take on this yesterday. And a few things really quickly, which is actually one overarching serious point. One of the biggest ways to take down autocrats, like other countries have done this, is on corruption. And Donald Trump has been... the scale of his corruption. Like, if you want to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop, like we are so far past that. Hunter Biden's laptop is a dot to you in the distance. We are talking about a guy who's taken an airplane from Qatar, a jet, the presidential jet, Air Force One. He's taken bribes from other countries. He's doing carve-outs for companies that come and suck up to him to get out of his tariffs. He is like corrupt in his crypto scams. He's selling watches. This is disgraceful. And I gotta say, this is just one of those things where it feels like at each stage he's upping the ante. I mean, the corruption of the ballroom. Like, how are we paying for the ballroom? He's like, well, we got private donors. I'm like, do they represent corporations that want to meet with the White House? Like, the level of corruption here is at a scale no one has ever seen. It should be shocking to the system. And then the idea, and this is the key point. It is not like he won those cases. It is not as though, right? You get damages sometimes or you can sue for your legal costs if you are found innocent of the charges. In no court case was he found innocent. He just wasn't found guilty yet because he got elected president. He was found guilty in several of them. And so this idea that he should be paid by the American taxpayer, it's also just like the Kristi Noem jets, like the Doge stuff, the ability, like this is where offense all day long on the corruption, guys, all day long. This is a gimme.
What if people don't care, Sarah?
I think they do. I think they do. I do think they'll whatabout, like you'll get partisan whataboutism, which is why people being able to articulate how big, how massive the scale is of this corruption, how much money he's talking, because voters still talk about this. They'll say, well, Donald Trump gave up his salary. Like they think Donald Trump is or they think because he's so rich, he's immune to being bribed or leveraged because he's got his own money. And you got to poke through that. That is, go get him on this.
I also think in making fun of him, I think there's a lot of, I was just joking about how his little mental anguish and how he has to take $250 million from the taxpayers for it. But, taking money from the Sharia law sand dictators, I think, is something that he should be made fun of. I don't know. I think about the, types of, to Sarah's point, like certain things stick in people's head, like, and him not taking a salary was one of them. And I think that figuring out how to do this, it's the kind of thing that people will talk about in a way that is a little bit more clear and direct than, the norms of the Department of Justice were that they were supposed to be independent from the president. And it's a little harder to explain. Like some of that stuff is a little harder to explain than this.
Is it hard? I mean, it's only hard if you think that the general person in America has an IQ of 65.
No, there's a difference between process and which people don't care about and actually are annoyed by, and people feeling like Donald Trump is, while they are stretched, and this is why it's an easy one, like affordability is the only issue on people's minds. And so if you're able to say he is not lowering your costs while he's lining his pockets, that is how most countries who've had authoritarian governments, that's how they take them down, is on the corruption.
So we're going to talk about Mikey Sherrill in a little bit. But Sarah, you and I later today are going to tape a focus group. I'm allowed back on.
You are.
Really?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
wow.
There is one.
Are we doing the champagne
voter
room version?
where
JVL gets to jump through at the end of the focus group and start screaming at them?
I have some thoughts.
I do think he's going to have some thoughts, because let me just tell you as a tease, we do undecided voters, people who voted for Trump, who are undecided about who they're going to vote for in this governor's election, and people who voted for Kamala, who are undecided. And so I would imagine that the Kamala voters who've got their sort of pet reasons why they are not certain they're going to go for Mikey caused JVL an aneurysm.
But here's what I'm going to say. There's a Trump voter who was undecided. And one of the reasons she says she's undecided is because there are charges that Mikey Sherrill made $7 million on stock trades after she became a congresswoman.
It's a big issue in the race.
And it is the reality of this story is that it is a nothing story. So the $7 million that she showed was largely due to activity from her husband, who's a UBS banking executive. She did do some stock trading her first year in office. The New York Times did a big investigation on this. It said, as much as they dug, they're like, it may be that there could have been potentially some conflicts in some of the cases, but there seems to be no smoke there. She did pay a $400 fine for a delayed disclosure about one of her husband's UBS stock sales. And this is what Jack Ciattarelli's running around going and she was penalized for it. It's true. She did pay $400 because she was late on. Anyway, unimportant. But the point
is, we're not doing that anymore. So that's a bad break for her to file that late in 2017 or whatever, because there's no white collar crime in the country anymore. We're not, DOJ is not investigating that.
And also the year after, her second year in office, she put everything into ETFs so that she didn't have, anyway, unimportant. What's important is that a Trump voter was saying how concerned she was about Mikey Sherrill maybe having made some money on the inside. And I was just like, what are you talking about?
Is your lesson from this not that people don't like corruption, and maybe the Democrats should talk a lot about Donald Trump's corruption and the way that he's lining his pockets, because that might resonate with some voters? Shouldn't that be your takeaway from that story?
No, my takeaway, and maybe it's my takeaway, is that people just want what they want. And none of the rationalizations they give are rooted in anything.
Black
They start with what they want. Basically black belt, right? They start with what they want, and then they just reach for whatever is closest at hand to justify that thing. And if you then say to them, oh, well, that justification doesn't make sense, they won't be persuaded. They'll just reach for something else. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Time to hear from our next sponsor, my friends at OneSkin.
This show is sponsored by OneSkin. We're right in the middle of fall and the holidays are just around the corner. As life gets busier, it's even more important to take care of our skin. And OneSkin's part of my routine for keeping this face as wrinkle-free as it can be, no matter what life throws at me. I keep this stuff right at my desk. Hold on, I'm going to turn it around here. This is the eye stuff. That's what I use that sitting here at my desk. I also have the face stuff. Put this on. Yeah, these are what I use at my desk. Known for cult favorites like OS1 Body, OS1 Face, and OS1 Eye. Those are two of the things I just showed you. OneSkin stands out for their science-first approach, delivering hydration, barrier support, and powerful longevity benefits in a single step. At the core is their patented OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to target senescent cells. I'm going to say that again, senescent cells, the root cause of wrinkles, crepiness, and loss of elasticity, all key signs of skin aging, with results validated in 5 published clinical studies. Customers consistently rave about how their skin is smoother, firmer, and healthier looking with results that get better over time. No wonder OneSkin's products have over 10,000 5-star reviews. OneSkin has also attracted A-list fans from biohackers like Dave Asprey to Hollywood icons including Jennifer Aniston and Matthew McConaughey. All of OneSkin's products are designed to layer seamlessly or replace multiple steps in your routine, making skin health easier and smarter at every age. OneSkin is the first skincare company built on longevity science. Their patented OS1 peptide targets the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, helping your skin and scalp stay healthier and more resilient now and as you age. For a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off using the code The Next Level at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code The Next Level. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Thanks, OneSkin.
We've had a lot of internet coming back to haunt people this week in the news. Graham Platner, Paul Ingracia. I would like to talk about all of these because I think they're kind of interesting. Can we start with Graham Platner? So our colleague Lauren Egan went up to Maine to talk with the new Fetterman and had a really great thing about him. And then like 24 hours later, Oppo starts dropping, and it's been a constant stream of it. I am very interested in what you guys think about this. Sarah, do you want to go first?
I don't, because Tim told me he's got 20 minutes on this. And so he's
okay.
If he's got that much content, I want to let him get it out before I go.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have 20 minutes. I have a lot of thoughts. I had Favreau on the Daily today, and he has a lot of thoughts. And I was just kind of letting him cook. And then kind of afterwards, I was like, I had a few disagreements with him or whatever, and then I didn't actually get out on the pod. So I just want to explore them here. But I feel like there's this whole conversation happening about the Maine Senate race, and it is, and like the internet conversation is around this question of like, should the Democrats care anymore about people that have baggage, right, in the past? Don't the Democrats want to have more normie, regular candidates who said some uncouth things, and that doesn't matter to voters anymore?
Have a
obviously.
Nazi tattoo, maybe.
Yeah, Totenkampf. Excuse me. Totenkampf. The voters excuse this from
Who
Trump
among
in
us?
his past, et cetera, et cetera. And the interesting part of that conversation is like, in abstract, I absolutely agree with it. Right? In abstract, absolutely, Democrats need fewer try hard, front row, pick me kids for sure. Like, just need more people who have working class backgrounds, and regardless of ideology, I just think that would be good for the party and the party image strategically. So that is like one thing I think. But as part of that conversation, like what gets obscured is like you see a lot of like lefties that think Platner's one of them who are like going whole hog for him on this, and are like, "Who a Nazi tattoo, a Totenkopf tattoo? Who cares?" Like, "Oh, he said something mean about women. Who cares?" And you just know it's fake. You're just like you just see these people who are like left, kind of Bernie type activists like pushing for him, and you're like, look, if I guess we'll just take the Sarah Longwell example. Like, look, if some Reddit posts of Josh Shapiro came out, from a couple of years ago, where he had like some anti-Muslim tattoo, like even that he said he got his accident while he was getting drunk, or that he was popping off on the Philly sports Reddit board and was saying, racist stuff about the other team's players. Like none of these people, like Ryan Grimm and Glenn Greenwald, and like Breaking Point's people, like none of these people would be like, let's get off Josh Shapiro's back. Like, let's let boys be boys here. It's like there's just a lot of fake arguing about all of this, and like the question in this case is like, what is the best to win the Maine Senate race? And I think we should all let that play out. I'm not sure I really know for sure. I think Graham Platner has certainly shown some red flags. There are definitely some red flags on Janet Mills as well in this, and Favreau kind of gets into that on the Daily Pod. But like, I think that sometimes, like, just from a strategic perspective, and this makes sense, like from an emotional level, people are like, I'm so annoyed that Trump has won twice and he has so much baggage. He's such a prick and he's whatever. And like, we need people and we're struggling with working class people and whatever. We need our own version of that. Right. And I get that on an emotional level, but on a strategic level, it's just important to remember that like, there were a lot of Trumps that ran for Senate seats on the Republican side that lost. Right. And it's not just like, oh, people don't care about baggage anymore. It's like people don't care about certain type of baggage. People don't care about baggage from certain types of people. People don't care about baggage if you're a famous Apprentice star. Right. It's like Herschel Walker is not in the Senate because of his baggage. We could go all the way back to Christine. Like there's a long list of Republicans putting up normal people with like, from outside the political class thinking that they were going to get outsider cred. And that turns out they like, did Civil War reenactments like Doug Mastriano and they lose by 20 points, so like.
Not the fun kind of Civil War reenactments, but like the kind where they're like, no, the South wins in this scenario.
Yeah, right. So anyway, my point is, I just think that everybody, like the race should play out. It is true in the abstract that Democrats need some more rough around the edges type candidates, and people should not be pushed out of elections just based on a couple of Reddit posts. And also, it's true that the Maine Senate race is really important, and it's important to have a vetting process, and that you don't want to have a Fetterman 2.0, or worse than that, you don't want to have a Herschel Walker situation where you don't win. And if the Democrats want to win the Senate, they got to win this race. And I wish everybody was a little bit more serious about the question of figuring out who the best candidate is to win the race, and a little less doing the like, this guy represents my side in the factional dispute in the Democratic Party, and so I'm going to defend him, or this guy's on the other side of the Democratic factional dispute, and so I'm gonna like pretend like I'm really mad about this. You know what I mean? And so like that, I think is, and it's hard for I think regular people to kind of wade through all that.
So I ask you both?
That's my long take on the Maine Senate race.
Can I ask you both? Watching Lauren's interview with him, like, I don't know, for most of that interview, he sounds like every political candidate I've ever heard. Like, he just talks in platitudes about, well, Washington's not really working for people anymore. And this guy doesn't sound like some, generational talent, or like, I guess what I'm trying to say, like, on paper, I understand the obsession with him. But the actual in the flesh political commodity seems very ordinary to me.
Yeah. And it's also based a lot on just my final thought, and then Sarah, I'll let you go. Is like, I was arguing to somebody else in private about this who was really excited. I was like, I feel like you've seen 3 clips of this person. Yeah. That's the other thing. It's like, let's have a year. Like you launched 3 clips on Twitter, 2 of which I agree were really good. Like I've seen a couple that are really good. There was one that was going around that everybody thought was good. And I was like, this sounds like word salad to me. Like this, if Kamala had said this, everybody would be making fun of her and being like, this is word salad this is typical Kamala word salad, like, so I don't know. But like, let's see, maybe he'll turn out to be really compelling, but I don't think you should base it on 3 1-minute short form videos.
Yeah, just to pick up on something Tim's saying about how people sort of choose their sides really quickly. Like the thing about this Maine race in particular is it's both really high stakes in the sense that this is somebody that Democrats very much want to beat, who is difficult to beat, and who has been, in some ways, because everybody knows she knows better and because she's a swingy vote, the way that she basically has done nothing to hold Trump accountable makes her like for me, I couldn't want to beat Susan Collins more, which is a big shift for me from where I was in 2020. But she has proven to be one of the most detrimental people by taking her norminess and saying that Trump's okay with it, right? And then by taking his cabinet picks and confirming them. So I really want to see her get beaten. But the way that the candidates right now between Janet Mills and Platner is it basically becomes a stand-in for the fight that is existing right now in the Democratic Party. You've got, she's going to be 79 years old at the time of the election.
77.
It's like she's a geriatric, normie establishment Dem versus a younger, more grizzled, sort of populist type. And so it's a stand-in for the whole fight and argument that people are having, which is why the stakes are and why people are picking sides without knowing that much, right? And this is why primaries can be very good as a process by which you see, like, can this person stand the test? Like, I don't even know if it's Fetterman so much as, should this guy be in politics? And I've got to, I like, this thing has come out now about this tattoo. And I don't know. Tattoos are a mystery to me in general. I don't have any. But when you've got Pete Hegseth has like a big tattoo that some people are like, this is a Christian nationalist symbol. And others say this is kind of a normal thing you get in the military. They're having that same debate right now over Platner's tattoo, which is
Totenkopf. Word I learned yesterday.
right. Like a thing we don't know. Yeah. And like, it's still coming out whether or not did he know that it was definitely a Nazi insignia, or is it a kind of thing that the people in the military, the skull and stuff is apparently also like very popular in the military. That being said, I mean, at the moment when you've got just Republicans left and right coming out with group chats where they're just like, yeah, I've got a Nazi streak, or let's put people in gas chambers. You just optically, it's pretty bad if you've got a Democratic candidate who's like your big populist wonder. And it's like, oh, is this Nazi? Oh, my bad. I'm going to get that covered up. Like, you sort of, there's part of you that's just like somewhere between normie establishment geriatric and populist, handsome, but like, man, does he have also like black people don't tip. You're just like, is there something in between? Can we find is there someone in between there?
We cannot.
No, we've got to choose.
We can't have nice things.
And so it's like the Democrats in New York. It's like, do I have to pick between the DSA guy and the sex pest who like crammed people during COVID into like death? Old folks. Can we? Is there not a middle ground here? Is what I would like to see.
I don't believe so. If you did not like Joe Biden, you absolutely must have the shirtless oyster farmer singing Wrecking Ball, doing racist jokes on Reddit. That's the only option. That's it.
It feels like it doesn't have to be. But I will say, there's one thing of Graham Platner's that I want to point to. When the Reddit posts came out, though, I think he could have survived perfectly fine the Reddit posts. He might survive the tattoo thing, depending on how clear it is that he understood what he was putting on his body. But the apology that he gave around the Reddit posts was extremely good.
Yeah.
And the reason, again, not knowing him very well at all, I think there's a lot of time to get to know him, but I was struck by his ability to say, I was lonely, I was depressed, and like a lot of people, I started posting, like shit posting on the internet, and that's a part of me that I regret and don't feel good about. And in that regard, I have a lot of grace for that. Like, I do think as a culture, we are going to have to figure out how we take people's apologies for crappy things they said on the internet. Because I'm real glad I didn't have a phone or Twitter when I was 19. And he wasn't 19 when he said some of these things, but
he's coming out of the military, and
he's coming out. And so, like, I do think we're going to have to let people say that they're sorry for things, and like, here's how I've shifted on my journey. And I do think we're going to have to evaluate people in terms of the people that they have become, which is not to say like Donald Trump was a terrible person when he was, sexually assaulting women and hanging out with Epstein. He's a terrible person now. And so like, you don't have to just look at the old stuff. You can look at the stuff right now. But if people are on journeys where they become better people, Like, that's what you want out of life. And so I think we should have grace for that. And I would be prepared, I think, for something like that to find grace. I think, though, like with anything else, if things start to stack up, that you're like, actually, I don't think I can swallow like this. That's a different story.
All right, got to move on. Tim, talk to us about our next sponsor, ZBiotics.
Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found pre-alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough next days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Fall is here. That means it's time to enjoy cooler weather and some drinks out with friends. Whether you're enjoying a pint at a fall festival up there in New Jersey, JVL, you guys have fall festivals, a game, a football game. I won't be going to football game on Saturday. I was planning on it, but LSU is just too sad for me. I can't take any more sadness in my life. Or if you're going to a Halloween party, I might be doing one of those. Don't forget to drink a pre-alcohol before drinking. You'll be able to celebrate and still wake up feeling great the next day. As mentioned, I don't think I'll be needing my ZBiotics this weekend. But last week, I used it before the Magdalena Bay concert. ZBiotics and sake. Great combo. I was feeling great. I was feeling wonderful the next morning. I'm not really loving the new thing where everybody attaches me to ZBiotics so much that strangers at the bar ask me if I've had my ZBiotics before drinking. I do pretty nice to see everybody, but I'm a little bit concerned about what it says about my lifestyle choices. But we'll see. It's good to be attached to something. It could be worse than our friends at ZBiotics. Go to zbiotics.com/nextlevel to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Next Level at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/nextlevel and use the code NEXTLEVEL at checkout for 15% off.
Not just Democrats. Republicans had a little bit of a Nazi problem. Paul Ingrassia has withdrawn his nomination. Maybe. Sort of. His phrasing on the withdraw was strange, but let's just take it at face value. Do you guys have any thoughts about this? I mean, I for one, am shocked. I never would have thought that a upstanding, great legal mind like Paul Ingrassia would have those sorts of thoughts buried in his deep, dark past.
I guess my thought is very simple. If the Democrats' problem is that they have too many front row try-hard kids raising their hand, and I think that is a problem for their electoral candidates, but it also means that those are the people staffing the government. I will take the meeting culture that goes along with that. If the alternative is the types of people that Donald Trump is staffing this government with, the most noxious and disgusting humans on the entire planet. And it seems like that's what he's doing. And I think that's very bad. And I think that more people should be aware of like the depths and the breadth of extremely noxious, racist, hateful, terrible people that are dotting this government. Because even if he does withdraw from the Senate, confirmed position, he still has a job. He's still the liaison for the Department of Homeland Security to our government.
When you see one of these things, it's not like you're seeing the only one, right? Like it's just that's just the one that you saw, and so this is happening all around, right? This is the cultural soup that these people swim in. And these things, these zeitgeists are real, right? You know, the Reagan Revolution gave us a generation of Alex P. Keaton types,
right,
who went on to like staff Republican administrations. And you could say like, oh, a bunch of them turned out to be really dark, like Lee Atwater types or whatever. But a lot of them turned out to be Jeb types, or Tim Miller types and Sarah Longwell types. There was an earnestness to it because that was the culture. And the culture of this is shitposting. Like, we're going to have a generation of cat turds and end wokenesses, which make up the rank and file of the actual people involved in Republican Party politics. And I don't know, like that just seems pretty bad, right? You have to live with this for another 10, 20 years.
Yeah, I do think when you take sort of the staff of Trump, because this guy is obviously completely unqualified for a position to run the Office of Special Counsel at DOJ. Like, these are serious jobs, and he is trying to staff them with people who are woefully unqualified. That's true of Kash Patel. It's true of Pete Hegseth. Like, it's true of a great many of his cabinet members and people who are on his staff. The thing is, like, this guy's actively, like, just listen to some of the, and again, these are all within very recent memory. This is not something from, 20 years ago. It was MLK Jr. was the 1960s George Floyd, and his holiday should be ended and tossed into the seventh circle of hell where it belongs. No Moulignon holidays, which is a word I know from watching The Sopranos, but Moulignon means
my people.
It is a derogatory term for a black person in Italian. From Kwanzaa to MLK Jr. Day to Black History Month to Juneteenth, every single one needs to be eviscerated. Okay. He said, I do have a Nazi streak in me from time to time. I'll admit it. And in response to a message that read, he was responding to a message that said, Paul belongs in the Hitler Youth with Obergruppenführer Steve Bannon. And he said, his response was, I do have a Nazi streak in me. He also said, never trust a Chinaman or Indian. Never. Wonder how Kash Patel feels about that. So this guy, and then they tried to blame it on AI. And in another trend for the alpha males of the Trump administration, his mom called. Just like Pete Hegseth's mom called. They got their moms. God, these guys are such big, tough guys. Got to have their moms calling senators to be like, please confirm my son. I promise he's a really good boy. It's so embarrassing. And, he's also like a 9/11 conspiracy theorist. Says, Michelle Obama's trans. These are the people, just like the kids who were talking about the gas chambers and the Nazis and all the racist stuff and rape jokes. They are people, they aren't just little kids. They are people who some of them are sitting state senators. They are the communication staff for people who are in Republican politics. They are the strivers in the next generations because Donald Trump is a magnet for garbage people. Nobody good comes to him. The first time around, it was people who wanted to protect the country from Donald Trump. Those people are all gone. And now he's attracted all of the worst kinds of people who will lie for him. The people who are attracted to the racism, attracted to the sexism, the sexual assault. And that's great. That's the future of the Republican Party. And this is why you can't just get rid of it with Trump, because we have watched the Congress turn over to be filled now with Trump sycophants. He has been attracting people for a decade to the party that has fundamentally changed what the party is and and what the party wants to do to the country.
The founding fathers were wrong that all men are created equal. That was my favorite Gracia deep cut.
All right, I got to talk to you guys about Lindsay Halligan, the very qualified and very cool U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, who just hit up Anna Bauer from Lawfare on Signal to have a conversation with her over the weekend, and then I don't know, 4 days into it, several days in, I don't know how many days into it, at the end of the conversation, said, "Oh, by the way, that was all off the record."
That is not how.
Were you guys as tickled by this story as I was? You guys are media professionals.
And also, these are disappearing messages. You can't quote it from a disappearing message. I sent you a disappearing message, which is funny as just a thing that she thinks, but
Michael.
Also funny because she's a prosecutor, and it is illegal for the government and a government official to contact somebody about government business and not record the message. Not that we're prosecuting those crimes anymore, but just something you'd think that the new prosecutor would be sensitive to.
Well, for an administration that relies on Signal to do, its war fighting and much of its business, you'd think they would know how it works. Yeah. It is just another. I was also tickled by this story because you have to remember this Halligan they fired a real person because that person wouldn't go after James Comey and Tish James because they said that there was no evidence that would. No cases, right? So they went and found this insurance person. This is who Trump was DMing on his janky website. He was DMing Pam Bondi about it. He's like, well, get rid of the person who won't prosecute her and put this other girl in because she'll do it. She's a fan of yours, Pam. So she's there, she's doing it. So she gets in, and yeah, she has no idea what she's doing. So she does things like, I'm going to yell at you for a while on Signal and tell you that your story's false. I'm going to provide no information that actually proves
not
that
even
it's
her
false.
story. She was complaining about a New York Times story that Anna Bauer retweeted. That's what it was.
Sure. Yeah. So she just called her up and or she says she's texting her saying it, and then after she complains about it, says that it's off the record. Just for anybody who wants to know, there are rules about what is on and off the record, and you have to agree on it up front. You if I'm talking to a reporter and I'm about to say something off the record, I'm like, I'm going to go off the record, and the reporter has to say yes or no.
I agree.
Like, you agree.
Yes.
Okay, so for hour 2 of this podcast, we're going to go behind the paywall and discuss a minute-by-minute dissection of my interview with Biden Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
Can we talk about it real quickly?
No. That's sure. You can do whatever. I was just joking, though. I was trying to transition us out.
Before we get out of hour 2, we got to hear from Sarah about our friends at Quince.
This show is sponsored by Quince. Cooler days call for layers that last, and Quince is my go-to for quality essentials that feel cozy, look refined, and won't blow your budget. Think $50 Mongolian cashmere, premium denim that fits like a dream, and luxe outerwear you'll wear year after year. These are the pieces that'll turn into your fall uniform. You may be wondering, what kind of uniform? Are you on a sports team, Sarah? Well, I'm on a team fighting to save our democracy, and yes, we want to look good and feel good while we're doing it. Their wool coats are on my wish list. They look designer level, but cost a fraction of the price, and the quality is just as good, if not better. Because Quince partners directly with top-tier ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen, they deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. It's the kind of wardrobe upgrade that feels smart, stylish, and effortless. And I love things that don't require any effort, especially when it comes to clothes. Find your fall staples at quince.com. Go to quince.com/thenextlevel for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too, just like this podcast. That's QUINCE.com/thenextlevel to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/thenextlevel. Thanks, Quince.
All right. So do you want to do KJP, or do you want to do a little preview of the focus group pod?
I thought I appreciated her coming on the show. Good luck in your endeavors. Sarah, what do you want to do?
No, we already talked about New Jersey a little bit, and my producer is going to kill me if we preempt the actual focus group podcast.
Don't worry. I'm bringing the goods.
Okay.
Don't worry. You're going to have enough.
Okay.
I didn't know you could get bullied by your producer that easily, Sarah. I thought that you were the HBOC.
Yeah.
HBIC? HBIC. I never
Is
used
it the head
phrase.
bitch on campus?
In charge.
I don't know. I do want to talk about the KJP thing.
Okay, well, can we do one question on New Jersey then really quick, and then we can finish with KJP. Is Mikey going to win? Because that's all I care about.
I still think yes, but I'm worried that both the races could end up being closer. But some of this is just, 2 weeks before jitters in some ways. But look, the fact is that there was now granted we screened for undecided voters. So we're going to listen to people who are undecided. And I would say even listening to the
undecided voters at this point in an off year election might not even be voting, and the real versions of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's some truth to that. I would say that these voters, or it's the people who I'm going to tap in when I really, right before I'm going to look up, but they were all leaners. It was the Trump voters were leaning towards the Republican and the Kamala voters were leaning. But one of the things that was striking to me was how much of the negative information about Mikey Sherrill has broken through, including to her voters. But the other thing was how much people sort of don't care in the face of, I think Jack is a Republican, is a Trump stooge, and that's enough. I sort of don't care about the rest of it and so if they get the demographic that is an off-year demographic, she should be absolutely fine. I don't think Jack Citarelli is doing anything that is motivating Trump's base for him, the low info, or not even low info, but low propensity voters. I'm not sure they'd turn out for him. I will tell you, man, the affordability stuff is just all there is for people. Like, everything's too expensive. They're so mad about how expensive it is. And so the one thing that, and this is where I think when it comes to local politics, you get a much more, people like know about their plans, their proposed plans for what they're going to do to lower costs. And people are either cynical about it or, there was a bunch of people in the Kamala group who hate Trump, but who were like, I don't know, this guy says he's going to lower taxes. And I probably won't vote for him because of that. But that part of it still attracts me because everything's too expensive.
Okay. KJP. Sarah, you had thoughts?
I just want to ask Tim something. Okay, so I was with KJP recently and so we were in a green room together because we were on a panel together. And I asked her what her book was about, why she left the Democratic Party. And she wouldn't tell me. And I was just like, why? Come on. Like, if I promised to buy your book, will you tell me? But she wouldn't. So do you have her book now?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? And so she left. Is it true, based on the clips I saw of your podcast? But is it true that she left?
It's worth the full 30.
I'm going to go watch it. Is it true that her reason for leaving is that as a Black queer woman, she no longer feels at home in the Democratic Party? Like, it's not left enough? Or is it just that she's loyal to Biden?
I wouldn't say about left. I think she feels disappointed by the way that the party leadership has, in her telling, sidelined Black queer women of color and not given them the seat at the table that they deserve, and also that the leadership of the party was disloyal to Biden. I don't.
That's why she's leaving.
Yeah.
Where is she going to?
It was not clear. People need more choices. The people out there need leaders to represent them.
So the same old failed ideas which got us here are why we need new voice. So Graham Platner. I mean, this is no.
I don't know.
I don't mean literally Graham. This is the same thing that Graham Platner says.
Yeah,
right? It's just the same.
She's a nice person, and she wanted to come on, so I was happy to talk about it. I just think that objectively, anyone can listen for themselves and read for themselves. It's a confusing story, and I think that tensions are high. Tensions were high there in the Biden White House in the final year, and there's some hurt feelings, and you saw this in Kamala's book, right? Where, she expressed, she's not leaving the Democratic Party or whatever, but I feel like there's a lot of, given how bad things went, a lot of people are pretty hot. And so they're lashing out, and this is her.
Other than the Biden family and KJP, is there anybody else who's come out of this sort of hashtag Team Biden?
Yeah, there are. It's the guys. I'm blanking on their names now, but Tim, help me out. What is the guy's name? The old guys who were not showing him the polling.
Yeah, like Steve Ricchetti, Mike Donnelly, and them. Yeah,
Donnelly. Yeah, thank you.
Look, JVL. In this world, I don't know if you read Will Summers' newsletter. The company that has the
med
EE
beds
systems. Yeah.
I love that piece.
Yeah. You go and sit in front of electric screens and they tell you that it heals you. That company made $30 million last year. So, there are people out there for every subgenre, possible. You can always find support. So I've got people on the internet that are very mad at me that thought I was unhinged or too rude to KJP. I did not feel like I was. I don't think she did. Obviously, I question that premise that I find suspect. When it comes to whether Joe Biden was treated well enough and whether he did enough to justify staying in the race, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some out there. They're Japanese soldiers still fighting.
God love them. Gonna need all of them for tearing down the Trump Ballroom and casino. All right, guys, good show, long show. Purpose. We'll be back on Friday with a little bit of secret preview for you people because, Sarah, I got something for us to talk about this week.
I can't wait.
Good luck, America.